In the financial world, what I realized, Dave, the foundation is your personal expenses. And here's where the formula goes wrong again, is everyone thinks that when they earn more money, it's going to solve their problem. Well, in the book, what I laid out is a pyramid, and it's a three-piece pyramid. The first part is personal expenses. The second part is business. And the third part is generational wealth and how to create it. And they say, Austin, if I just spend more time making more money, I'll have more. The problem is, Dave, if I don't have a solid foundation and I go put 10,000 pounds in the middle, it cracks that foundation and it never lasts. And so until you get your spending right, until you get yourself right, your debt and all those things, I can't tell you it ever matters how much money you make. You're going to have the same issue, and you're not going to get past it. All that money and all that freedom at the age of 28 got me on welfare when I had my second child.
Okay, that's fun.
Not so much financial freedom, Dave. It's actually the opposite. The freedom cost me everything. So I set a vision. I set a path for myself at the age of 32. I was one of the top agents in the state of Indiana, working my sphere, working by referral, providing good customer service, and putting my family first along the way. Okay, that's absolutely key to everything I'll train you today. I put my family first before business. Why? Because I saw all the people run huge businesses and their lives were nothing that I would ever want.
Right.
And these were good people. They just didn't know how. They weren't taught how. Huge business, personal life in their family, not what I wanted. So I said, let me put the family first and then figure out how to run a big business. And I did it. And what I found, Dave, is that once I got myself and my family in place, the business was easy.
We know all real estate agents want to acquire clients consistently so that they can grow their business and income for that great lifestyle. This broadcast brings you the best and top people in the industry to support that quest. This is Dave Fanale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and Align, your premier real estate solution.
And we are back. Here we are. This is Real Estate Talk TGIF episode 385. And that's 380 weeks in a row, which is so very exciting to me and to everything. And because I just started and I keep going. It's over 7 years we've been doing this every week. And we're going to keep going for another couple of years at least. Anyway, we have Austin Cheviron here. And I'm just going to do a quick intro of something we put together. Austin just doesn't talk about money. He tears down the lies we tell ourselves about it. And after getting into your book, The Money Puzzle, a little bit, that is so true. Austin Cheviron is a coach, a leader, and the author of The Money Puzzle, a book that hits you where it hurts and helps you rebuild your entire relationship with money and success. You helped countless agents stop chasing the next deal and start building real freedom. Not just the kind that shows up in their bank account, but the kind that makes them sleep better at night. This is going to be a real and raw conversation. I can't wait to get going. Austin, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. It's funny. I'm sorry, you go, Dave.
No.
I was going to say, I've trained so many people on money. You want to know what the number one common feedback I get is when I work on them with the financials? The number one never would have guessed it. It's you helped me become aware of what I was doing and where I want to go. Like, how simple.
Well, that's how I really want to get there. As we get into this in your story, I have one question I have to ask you first before we get started. Real Estate Talk TGIF. What does TGIF stand for?
TGIF. Thank God it's finale.
Wow, you are really versed in TGIF. You are absolutely correct. Thank you, sir. I am impressed. Right. All right. So cool. Hey, man, you didn't just get to where you are being the author of your book, The Money Puzzle, that just came out this week. It took you trials and tribulations. You've got a story. You've got a journey. Talk to me about it, and let's get rocking and rolling with how you got to where you are from where you came from. And you can start from anywhere.
Okay. I'll do this as quick as I can here. 85% of my life has been surrounded by real estate agents, 85%. So since I was 6, my father's been a licensed real estate agent. So I am a real estate agent's kid. which means for anybody else who's a real estate agent kid, I was always the last one picked up at daycare. We always had like, where's your dad at? I'm like, I don't know. Could you call him, please? I'd like to leave. So that's
You're an SOB. You're an SOB, son of a broker?
I'm a son. And so when I was 12, it gets worse. When I was 12, my father was the manager of the largest Coldwell Banker office in the nation. So not only have I been around real estate agents my whole life, I've been around the top of the top of the top. And I've got to study and I got to watch. And then at 20, I was a real estate agent, primarily because I didn't find a whole lot of hope for my life on what I was going to do. So I got into real estate because anybody can do it. I'm my own boss, and I can make all this money and have all this freedom, right? Isn't that how we come in? I can make all this money and have all this freedom. Well, all that money and all that freedom at the age of 28 got me on welfare when I had my second child.
Okay, that's fun.
Not so much financial freedom, Dave. It's actually the opposite. The freedom cost me everything. So I set a vision. I set a path for myself at the age of 32. I was one of the top agents in the state of Indiana, working my sphere, working by referral, providing good customer service, and putting my family first along the way. Okay, that's absolutely key to everything I'll train you today. I put my family first before business. Why? Because I saw all the people run huge businesses and their lives were nothing that I would ever want.
Right.
And these were good people. They just didn't know how. They weren't taught how. Huge business, personal life business, or personal life and their family, not what I wanted. So I said, let me put the family first and then figure out how to run a big business. And I did it. And what I found, Dave, is that once I got myself and my family in place, the business was easy. It was easy, actually.
So that's also how you set up your goals, and everything else is family first and then personal and all that other stuff, right? So from there, when you got that settled, what was the next step?
Well, by then, what's amazing is people started seeing I went from being the worst at my brokerage to the best. Okay, literally like number 110 out of 110 to number 1. And I happened to be one of the youngest ones there too. So at first I was just Tom's son, not doing so well. And then next thing it's like, well, how the heck did he get here? Well, then I was asked to coach and train 100 of their agents at this brokerage I was at. So then I had to go through and figure out, I always ask myself this question, Dave. It's a quote from Les Brown. In life, if you do it as easy, life will be hard. And if you do it as hard, life will become easy. And I always ask myself, will this be the hard thing to do or the easy? When I'm on the top of my game, just got off of welfare. Now I'm closing just under 90 deals a year. Like I'm here. And then somebody says, go coach 100 agents. And I'm like, how? Well, just do whatever you did. Well, I don't know what I did. I just did it. So I decided that would be the hard thing to do. So I went on a journey. I did that for 3 years, got to the limit, John Maxwell law of the lid. So I hit the lid. I wanted to break through the ceiling. My vision was bigger. I was in a little fish tank. I wanted to swim in the ocean, left, and then took my training to about 15,000 people. Went from 100 to 15,000, really exposed my leadership, exposed my training, exposed things. And then it kind of took off from there. We grew a team at my brokerage, eXp Realty. I grew a team there. Within 3 years, I had a top 10 team with about 25 agents, teaching them how to live a good life and work by referral. And my business system and philosophy was give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, feed him for a lifetime. So I took a completely different team model approach, the only one I knew. And I just took these 25 human beings and I said, I'm going to make you a good person, a good mother, a good father, good husband. And I'm going to help you with your financials too. Key. I'm going to help you with your financials. And by doing that, I said, this is just the systems that we need to run every day for our business. We're going to need to lead generate. Next thing you know, after 3 years, we had a top 10 team. And one of the top production per agent teams in the country, which is weird to say, without giving them a lead.
So, all right. So you built this team, and it all started with more personal than lead gen. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yeah, it started with hey, if you want to be surrounded by me, I need to make sure you're a good human being. Because you are right next to me. Literally, your office is right there. Or I'm with you for 2 hours a day working on our lead gen together. And I don't want to see you come in with red eyes looking like you just got beat up last night. Like, let's get real here. So I worked on the human, and then I worked on the financials. And next thing you know, I said, here's just what we need to do in our business. We need to build a database. Well, one, we need to get a vision. We need to build a database. We need to work on your habits. We need to work on your lead gen, handle your money, buyer systems, seller systems, time management, communication style, calendar planning, education, and last commission. And I put all those together.
So I want to talk to you about the first thing you mentioned, which is we've got to get a vision. Okay, so much I see is that everybody says, well, I want to make this money, I want to do this, and I want to do that. And you're talking the book on how to set goals in a different way, right? But vision is very important. Talk to me about how you communicate and how you would help an agent get that vision, which you said the first thing, which is really important to me too.
Well, for me, I know that without a vision, people perish.
Yep.
And I know that it said to write the vision and make it clear so that he who reads it can run with it. So based off of what I know is true and what I believe, then it's like, okay, I have to establish a vision. Now, I'm going to say I'm lucky enough, and here's why. I was lucky enough to be on welfare when I had my second kid. And I say I was lucky because when I hit that bottom, I'm like, hell, I don't want to be here ever again. Like and my wife was embarrassed. And I was like, well, it is what it is, honey. She's like, we're not going to collect welfare. I'm like, oh, like hell, we're not. We are taking we deserve this, obviously, for the wrong reasons. And it hit me very clear, Dave. My son's 13 now. My vision came to me at my depths when I was down low. And that's when my son graduates high school, that I will be financially free, I will be free of time, and I will be free of location. That was my vision. It got very clear. Free of money, free of time, free of location. And I spent the last 13 years busting my ass to ensure those three things happen.
So Austin, a lot of people get to the bottom, or they get to a point where they think is, right? I work with agents that come and say, I got to do this deal, right? I need a deal. I need a deal. I need the money, right? And it kind of gets like really pent up anxiety, right? And all that. And we talk about a vision, and you had to go on welfare to build that vision. I don't know if you would call that rock bottom, whatever it is, but you had to build a vision. And then you also had to have the patience and the intestinal fortitude, AKA guts,
faith,
balls, whatever you want to call it,
faith,
to go that far, to actually do that. And now your vision is your son's 13, right? By the time he finishes high school, right?
5 years.
Tell me how you started that vision.
Well, so for some people, I work with a lot of people in the coaching and training department on vision, because once again, that's where we need to start. And my younger clients, like when I get one of my clients, my favorite age to work with is probably someone who's 55. And the reason why is because they now have the clock on their mind. Because when you don't have a clock, it's like, well, I got time. It's Parkinson's law. What time you give something to, it will expand to. And so my clients in their 20s and 30s, even great human beings, very driven, they haven't had enough life experience to get that vision maybe super clear. Where someone who's 55 is like, I see it, I got it, and I got to get it. So when my clients are trying to figure out what is that vision, one of the methods I work through them with is just take 3 90-minute sessions by yourself in the wild, in the wilderness, quiet, no phone, like take the world out and just be in the world and start writing down what you want your life to look like. By when do you want it to look like? And the other side of this is write what you don't want anymore in your life. And what happens, Dave, we don't have to get it crystal clear. We just got to be able to say, like, that's the North Star, and the clouds it's like a semi-cloudy night, and I can kind of see it, but I know it's there. And just start working towards it. And it takes time to get this. It does. It really takes time.
It's okay. So I'm that older than 55 guy, right? At 55, I had a brokerage. I was doing well. things were going along, and realized probably way too late in life that I was doing it the wrong way. Even though I was comfortable, I was making money, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. Right? So I'll give you my history. One of the things that I do in this broadcast, Austin, which is really important for everybody to understand, is I am a selfish human being. Why? Because I talk about my issues, but I know that my issues are shared by the majority of the people in the world. And I can take what I get from you and my guests and give it to them in time, through time, so that they can help themselves, right? Yeah. So I'm going to use my own situation. I've begun to be very, very transparent in my situation. So 8 years ago, I walked away from that brokerage because I just said, you know what? I kind of screwed this up because I had the best coaching in the world from John Cheplack and all these other greats that you can think of, and I really didn't do my job well. Mm-hmm. Now, 8 years later, that vision has started building with me, and I am not in my 50s any longer. So we talk about got to get it, need to get it, want to get it.
Yeah.
The past year has been transformative for me as far as understanding it, because it's taken me a really long time, man. So when you get to be this age, or you get to be other age, you want to get it. Is there a trick? Is there a switch? Is there understanding your vision and knowing that, shithead, you gotta wake up and do this, this, and this.
So I'll tell you just the name of the chapter here in the book. And Dave, you had you got the mini version. So I don't know if you got this and what I sent you, but it's chapter 7. And I actually talk about exactly what you're talking about and how to still achieve what you want. Here's the 3 words of the chapter: simplify to focus. Simplify to focus. And what I found with a lot of my clients and just life in general, we got all these things going on all the time. Yeah. And where I'm at now, I get 100% of my opportunities. I get 98% of them are liabilities. Let me say that again. 100% of my opportunities I get, 98% of them are liabilities, which means if I pursue it, it actually is not going to take me to where I'm trying to get to. It's too many distractions, too much stuff's going on, and I got to simplify. And so in this chapter, what I do is I show a picture of a puzzle that I used to do with my kids when they were younger. And this puzzle has 4 puzzles within it. Actually, I think I could possibly even show a picture just to give the listeners a visual of this. So it's a puzzle box with 4 puzzles in it. Okay. Pretty simple. What happens is, and I actually do this exercise with my clients, what happens is I say, hey, this puzzle represents your life. Okay. And for every decade you have left to live, I'm going to give you 15 seconds per decade you have left to live. Let's just do this virtually right now with you, Dave. So how many more decades do you think you have left to live? If you were to guess.
2.
So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Okay. Because without understanding how much time you have left in your life, good luck trying to get to the finish line. You got to understand the time you have. And so what I'll do is I'll take this puzzle, I'll set a timer for 30 seconds, and we dump out the 4 puzzles in one box down. And what do? They're going through all the pieces and they're trying to put all these puzzles together. And what happens is they never get done with the vision they have for their life because there's too many other things. And I tell them one simple thing: simplify to focus. Instead of trying to do all the puzzles, Dave, let's pick one, your vision, and let's go do that one first. And what happens is, Dave, it's magic. They dump the pieces out, so the same 30 seconds, but now they know what they're looking for. I know exactly what I'm looking for. And when all these other things come in my life, all the other puzzle pieces from the other puzzles, they can just get rid of them and push them aside and say, not right now. This isn't part of my vision. And amazingly enough, in the same amount of time you have for 30 seconds, normally people might finish one puzzle in 30 seconds, one of the 4. When I give them a focus, they normally can finish 3. Because now they know what they're looking for and they put that together, everything goes aside. Now I can go to the next thing. Boom, I know what I'm looking for. Boom, put it together. And so the answer is simplify to focus. The hard part about it is what am I trying to focus on? And then what are all the things in my life that need to get simplified? And especially financials are very tough, Dave. Financials are tough to understand. And so how do I simplify my financials to be able to focus on this is my track and this is what I need to do with them?
Okay. So how do you make it, how is it easier to focus? I mean, okay, so I understand that you're going to go one puzzle at a time.
Yep.
And it has to, you have to simplify to focus. So in my realm, right, my goals and my financial goals might be different than most. I don't know.
Probably not. More likely not.
So all right, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna go laterally here for a second and see how this relates. Everybody talks about, well, you know what? You need to have a big why. Does that have anything to do with the vision that we're talking about?
I think they're the same.
They're the same.
Mm-hmm. It's the driving factor that makes you get up and drive through the mud every day. When you get up and your car goes through the mud and you're like, this is tough. I don't want to do. What gets you through that mud? It's the vision. It pulls you forward. Great example. I'm 41 years old. My longest client is like a bodybuilder. This guy he's chiseled and everything. He tells me this. He goes, Austin, in your 40s, it's possibly your last decade to put on muscle because in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, your body's going to start using that muscle to stay alive. It's going to be a lot harder to build. He put this time thing in my head, Dave. It's like, I got 9 years to put muscle on. Well, guess what? When my ass gets up, I'm like, I got to go put muscle on. I got a time clock and I want to live as long as I can. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you I disagree with that because I know where I am in life and I'm putting on muscle. So
I don't want to say it's not possible.
I know.
Odds are not in my favor as I get older to get bigger.
So what I just said, think about this, right? So, and a lot of agents are like this, and it has everything to do with money. So I know for me, I've made a lot of changes in my exposure to different products, what I put in my body, and how I work out and what I do, because let's face it, I mean, longevity is something that I really care about. I've seen people my entire life that they grunt when they get off the couch. They grunt when they start walking up the stairs, and they're younger than me. And I saw myself doing that about 4 years ago. And I said, I'm not grunting anymore because it's just a freaking stupid thing that I do. It's a habit now. I don't have to. But my point is that I want to keep going and I want to grow. So we're talking about my body that I'm keeping together, right? I love to play golf. I have this has been like one of the worst years of golf for me ever, simply because I played like crap most of the year. Flashes of brilliance, I will say. But the point I'm making is that I will put the time in and do that. And then when it comes to my business and financial stability, I know what I have to do. I need a plan. I need to move forward with it, and I need to go with it. And a lot of people are the same. I see people at the gym who the other part of their lives suck. I see people at, on the golf course who are really good at it, but they're not really succeeding in other places. What's the wall? How do you get, you do it here, but you won't do it here.
Yeah, it's well, I'll say this in a different way. I'm gonna go a couple different places here, Dave.
Okay.
Money, when I look at my goals and what's important in my life, it's in this order, and it's really simple. It's my spiritual life, my personal life, my family life, my business, and then my financials. So money is the least important thing. Now, it's ironic that I would say money's the least important thing, and I wrote a book called The Money Puzzle. Why is that? Here's what I found. When you don't get your money right, it hurts your business, it hurts your family, it hurts your personal life to be able to give and fund with all the health stuff I need, and it hurts my tithing and my spiritual life. And the money will grab you like an anchor and pull you down. And when people tell me they're only focused on money, it's a red flag to me. I look at it and say, let's get our money right so then we can have this fulfilling life everywhere else. So one area of your life can really weigh down the other areas. So I work with my clients, say, let's get our money right so we can get our lives right. Okay. Now there's a couple things that I've learned that are true, which is one of the things I like to talk with people about is, I'll ask you this question, Dave.
Okay.
You might be my anomaly to this answer, but in general, how many hours a week do you exchange your time to earn income? So how many hours do you work a week for money?
I'll just use the number 40.
Okay. On average, it's about 45 across everywhere I go.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you the next question. How many hours a week do you take that money that you make and exchange it for things, stuff, and experience? Go to the grocery store, taking, on vacation, all these things that you exchange your money. How many hours a week do you do that?
Probably going to be, 20.
Yep. So we find somewhere between 5 and 10 hours on average, and some people are more and some people are less.
Okay. All right. Understood.
So on average,
probably 15 for me then.
Yeah. So let's say on average, if I took 1,000 human beings, it's 50 hours a week that they make money and they spend money.
Okay.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. How many hours a week do you think the average human being takes care of their money? Looks at their bank's accounts, aligns their money with their vision, works on their debt and their net worth and all that stuff.
A week?
A week. Yeah.
30 minutes if they're lucky.
That's exactly the answer that I get on average around the country when I ask. So 30 minutes into 50 hours is 1%.
Yep.
So 1% of their time they take managing what they have and assigning a vision to it and saying this is where it's going. So then I ask, I'm a father, I'm a husband. I ask myself, if I was a husband 1% of the time, how good of a husband would I be? If I was a father 1% of the time, how good of a father would I be? And then if I manage my money 1% of the time, how good would I manage my money? And the answer is horrible.
Yeah.
Simple questions, not being taught to the world. Just simple thinking in my world. If I asked you you've been in real estate for 40 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. This is perfect for you, Dave. How many trainings within 100 do you think you've been at that have taught you how to make money? How many? Within 1,000? How many?
It's in the past 40 years. Wow. In the past 20 years. Holy crap.
How many trainings have taught you about open houses and for sale by owners and script calls and everything on how to make money in real estate?
I'm going to say well over 1,000.
Okay. How many trainings have you been into that have taught you how to keep that money that those thousands were teaching you how to make?
Probably well over about 1 or 2.
Do you see the problem here, Dave?
100%. Absolutely.
So now I take the position that I've watched this for 85% of my life. I've watched the best of the best. And here's what I can tell you. That formula doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Because at the end of your career, you don't have what you could have had. And if I ask anybody, if I ask all my dad's friends who I've watched who are now in their late 60s, 70s, and 80s, hey, do you financially have what you wanted when you started 30 years ago? The answer is no, 99% of the time. It's no. And so I said, okay, how do I help these people?
Okay.
Because I'm the one that got out alive is how I look at it. I literally did the same thing, I sold as many houses as they did. I just figured out how to keep it and put it in the right places, which is really tough. And I figured it out. I created a system and process, and it has to deal with a lot of things. But I was able to invest enough, keep enough of my money and invest enough to be able to say, I can work for free now. I'm good. Like I'm there. I've made it. And they're like, how did you get out alive? So then took 16 months to document it all. So the exact steps that I did and how I did it and all the pieces, Dave.
So I've been lucky enough to have the first 6 chapters of your book, and thank you for that. And one of the things I think about with what you just said and reading the beginning of the book is how you started with your relationship with money, with your I'm going to say Grandma Clem, right?
Yep, Grandma Clem.
And everything you had to do and the difficulties you had growing up, and there was always going to be Sunday dinner, right? If I'm hearing it right, at least
It was Saturday dinner at 5 o'clock.
Saturday, at least 48 times a year, right?
Yep, for 26 straight years.
Okay. So your relationship with money started way back when, and it was a good one to start. But a relationship with money that is not a good one to start, right? So my lifetime, the thing I remember the most of growing up, we can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number one. Number two, realizing where I was living. I didn't realize this for years. Realizing where I was living, other people that live in the same area, and we weren't living on a string. We can't afford it. That's how I grew up, right? In my probably through my teens, early teens. That's what I heard all the way through. Look, when you grow up with 8 kids, seven brothers and sisters, all of us born within 9 years of each other. There were several in college at the same time. So
and were you raised in the United States?
Yeah.
So here's another huge factor. Your parents were raised through the Depression. They lived through that. So they were being taught the Depression. They put it into their family, wanting to or not. The limited mind, the scarcity, hey, we might not ever have this. So good people are being taught, and we're learning from our past, from our parents, and we're passing down generation to generation things that are still coming from the Depression.
Yep.
And not that we want it. We don't even know that it's happening, but it's there. I tell in the story when my mother passed in a tragic airplane accident when I was 17. Not a good point in my life at that time. Well, right after that happened, the next day, my family came in and stole all of her jewelry. A year after that, when my mom's insurance check was finally delivered to us, it wasn't delivered to us, but when it was delivered to pay for her burial a year ago, the lady who got the check said, "What check, Austin?" I'm like, "You're like my second mother. You're going to steal from me?" Let me say this, Dave. It took me a decade to even understand that I had a bad relationship when people owed me money. I still don't deal with it well, Dave. Because when I was 18, I was stolen from. Every human being has a relationship with money. And until you understand what that is, it's showing up in your present today, and it might not be good. More than likely.
So how do you change that relationship? For me, it's like growing up, and this has got to be relevant to a lot of people. Growing up, you don't have something, but others do in the same environment that you're living and growing in and learning in. And it turns out to be, the old when I, right? So I always say to people, I want you to have as many whens as you possibly can, because you live through when I have this, I can do this. When I achieve this, I can do that. I want people to have those whens, right? So, but it's also, when it comes to money, it's detrimental to your financial stability. Would you agree with that?
It can be, yeah. So you asked, how do you help people overcome that? And the first problem, chapter, I think 3 of the book is awareness. I literally have a whole chapter on just helping people self-discover their past and where it shows up. Most people don't know. One of our clients, she's from the Middle East. She said, "Austin, I was raised that money is evil." And she goes, "I never realized that's how I was raised." And she goes, "I don't want to teach my daughter that." She started crying. She goes, "I don't want to teach, but I never thought about that. It just is what I'm doing. It's who I am. It's how I was raised." So the first thing we got to do is we got to step back and go back and look at our life and figure out what things in our life in the past are still inside of us today. And they're good and bad. I'll give you another one on a good side, Dave. This makes people laugh a little bit, but I like to play video games. I still do. They soothe my mind. They help. I probably have ADHD, I'm guessing, but it helps my mind. Well, there was a video game I played when I was 12 and 13. I don't know how many people played this, but it was online and it was a text-based game. So I played on the computer against the world of anybody in the whole world could play it. I ended up having so much money in this game when I was a young teenager that it crashed the game because I was getting paid so much in interest. I was like on Earth, I had $80 trillion, which means I could do and make whatever I wanted. It actually crashed the financial systems of the video game. A 13-year-old crushed the game, had to reset it.
Wow.
I didn't realize that I had that inside of me until I took time to write this book. And I'm like, let's go through your past and figure out, where did you do well with money? Where did you not do well with money? Where did it show up? How did it show up? What experiences did you have as a child? And so there's positives and negatives, but if whoever's listening to this, if you don't slow down and go through your life, it's either inside of you in a negative way or in a positive way. Like, I have these talents and abilities that God gave me, like literally gave them to me. I got to figure out, how do I get them out there?
So starting, and a lot of people, including myself, are always starting to figure this out, where there's never, that start, that strength of, what's the word? I'm figuring it out, but the word that a lot of people use is foundation, right? You have to have a strong foundation, right? Yep. You have to have a strong foundation to anything you do. When we talk about, the real estate business, we're talking about have to have a strong foundation of practice and scripts and understanding what you're saying and what you're doing. I've said this for years. I will always say this. I think my soul is a builder, right? I see houses, that is, when I see something and hear people talking about a foundation, I always want to ask the question, and I hold back because it sounds nasty, but what about your footing? What is your footing made out of? What's the soil qualities that you need to build a footing underneath it? Because let's face it, a foundation is built on top of a footing.
Yes.
Right? In every house, in every building I've ever built, we got to pour the footing first. And depending on the characteristics of what's underneath that and where it came from, will depend on whether it's a spread footing, the thickness of the footing. Is there rebar in the footing? Well, there always is. Is there anything else in the footing? Are we strengthening the concrete? What is it? What's that footing look like? But once you build that footing, foundation is easy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because of what it builds. So that's the way I look at it. And I think people don't start with the right footing. They're just looking to put the block on top of something. And I think that's the biggest issue. For me, my footing was never until recently solid. It didn't have enough rebar in it, right? What do you think about that?
So it's funny when you say that to me, I go back through my process because I agree with you 1,000%. I go back to, okay, what is the footing? And the footing is, we've heard this phrase, start with the end in mind. Okay, because we can't figure out our footing until we figure out what it needs to look like. So what is the end in mind? Chapter 22 is inheritance and thinking about your legacy and what you want to leave behind. When my mother passed, there was no inheritance. There was a mess. Okay, there was a mess, and I had to clean it up as a 17-year-old. I now know my vision of my life, not only the work I want to get out, but how I want to leave my kids and whoever inherits what I have. I want to make sure that's done properly. And so chapter 22 is inheritance. Chapter 23, these are the pinnacle of everything that I train on. Chapter 23 is giving. And how do I give my life away before it's taken? Time-wise, financially, everything I have inside of me. So with that being said, as my footing, which is my vision and where I'm going, start with the end in mind. In the financial world, what I realized, Dave, the foundation is your personal expenses.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's where the formula goes wrong again. Is everyone thinks that when they earn more money, it's going to solve their problem. Well, in the book, what I laid out is a pyramid, and it's a three-piece pyramid. The first part is personal expenses. The second part is business, and the third part's generational wealth and how to create it. First part's personal. Your foundation's personal. The next layer is the first layer of the house, let's say. So first floor then is your business, and the second floor is generational wealth and how to keep it all together. So when 2009 hits, it doesn't just crumble apart. What most people do.
May I share that? May I share that pyramid right here?
You can 100% share it if you got it. Yep. So the first 10 chapters, well, there's an intro chapter, but those first 10 things at the bottom are my base: vision, awareness, spending, wealth tracker, credit score, simplify to focus, categorize debt, extra, and time blocking. That's all personal. But what most people do, Dave, this is great. You got this. Good job. What most people do, they put all their time and energy on the next piece, which is CFO, wealth machine, cash flow, expenses, taxes, and income. That section is all for my business owners, my entrepreneurs. And they say, Austin, if I just spend more time making more money, I'll have more. The problem is, Dave, if I don't have a solid foundation and I go put 10,000 pounds in the middle, it cracks that foundation and it never lasts. And so until you get your spending right, until you get yourself right, your debt and all those things, I can't tell you it ever matters how much money you make. You're going to have the same issue, and you're not going to get past it. I just had a client this week make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and his answer to getting him out of where he's at is make more money. And I said, take me 10 years ago. 10 years ago, if I said you were making $100,000 a month and you're not achieving your goals, what would you think? And he said, you'd be crazy to tell me that. You'd be crazy. So I said, maybe we work on the personal finances, not the business. The business is the fuel, the personal stuff and everything. We got to have that or it's not going to get anywhere.
You know, I want everybody that will watch this to think about this book and pick up this book, buy this book. And I want you to look at this pyramid we just showed on the broadcast. And I want you to think of the footing conversation. And then I want you to think about the end in mind. You see, Austin, the interesting part about this conversation, which has hit me, was that I talk about the footing all the time. I'm very cognizant of that fact because I don't want my houses to fall down. I don't want cracks in my foundation. Now, I know where cracks are going to happen no matter what. Yeah. Right? Like you have a window in the foundation, that crack's going to go down that corner. People get upset about it, but it's bullshit. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
It's going to happen no matter how great your footing is. But when you talk about the end in mind, I'll look at a property, I'll look at a building, and this is what I want to build. I'll draw it out. And I'll tell the architect how to do it. And he says, it's my job. I said, yeah, but it's my job to tell you what it is. My vision of what I want that to look like and how I want it to be and how I want these rooms to be. Well, we should do it. No, you shut up. This is what I'm telling you, right? Mm-hmm. Then he's going to design the building and structurally and engineeringly going to figure out, okay, that footing needs to be 12 inches thick, 3 feet wide, and we're going to use 12-inch block on the bottom, or we're going to use a 12-inch foundation. Up to the top, we're going to put a brick ledge, so on and so forth. Because you want this building to look like this. You want this house to have this on it. You want a cantilever over here. Yeah. I want everybody to really think about what I'm saying. I know I sound like I'm nuts right now, but the thing is that I just got something that I never got before. And that is, I can't build that footing until I know what the top is going to look like and what the strength and the overall of the building. Understand that all the pieces of your house that you build go together to structurally keep it in place, to structurally give it strength. So if you've got that footing started and you want to get to a certain level, I don't care if it's $100,000 a month, $100,000 a year, $100,000 a day, until you have that structure set up, and just from that pyramid of the base of that, game changer.
It's it.
Game changer. It's so this broadcast is like not only factual and really helpful to a lot of people and educational, it's also foundationally spiritual to a point. I know it sounds crazy, but you base your goal setting on that as well. Am I correct?
1,000%. Dave, show the pyramid again for everybody. So the top is just a title. Go one below wealth. It's inheritance and giving. It is the pinnacle of what I do. And giving for me, Dave, is to be able to tithe. So if I go back to tithing, and if you're not a tither, that's okay. But tithing and giving is really having an abundance mindset. And without handling and processing your money correctly and understanding it, good luck having an abundance mindset. I literally just give money away, Dave. I literally have an account to give money away. And I feel guilty when the money's in the account and it's not in someone's hand that need it. How do you get your life to that point? The next is inheritance, one right next to it, which are kind of like hand in hand, but just a little different. With the inheritance, how do I get everything in place to be able to pass down to my kids, right? Let's just say kids, for example. Yeah. Dave, let me look at you when I say this, because you're going to get this here. We can take this down. I wanted to show them the top once again. In inheritance, there's something that I work on that I've never heard anybody teach on this before, but I've lived it. So I just train on my life and what I would have made different. Okay. We can get all of our financials in order and then that way have a will and trust. And then when we pass, it goes. Okay. But what I've learned, the second part of inheritance is how do I teach my kids on how to inherit what I have?
That's so important, man. Yeah. I believe I know firsthand.
How do I teach them? I mean, Dave, I own millions of dollars of real estate. Okay. Mike, if I died today, they wouldn't know where it's at and what to do with it. Well, they do, but most people wouldn't.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't know, hey, the purpose of these is they make this much money. They cover our expenses so we can live free and do whatever we want. If you sell them and you take the millions of dollars, you don't have a monthly thing coming in, and that million eventually will go down to zero. You write them off. You do this, you do this. Here's the people you hire so you don't have to touch them and manage them. So what's really important to me is to be able to teach, and this is me to everybody else. I haven't died yet. I'm still here. But I know because I've lived through it at a young age and because I have assets that need to go, that not only I need to get them organized, but I also need to teach the people that are going to inherit this what it is. Great example. I was with one of my clients and I had the mom and the son in the same room. And I said, Mom, do you have any like coins or anything? I knew she did. She goes, yeah, I got some really nice coins. I go, does your son know if you die, when you die, how much those coins are worth and maybe who to take them to? She's like, he has no clue. So what happens? Son gets the coins, goes into the pawn shop and sells them for 8 cents on the dollar. And mom's rolling over in her grave saying, and I just spent all this time doing this. Well, I put that on you, Mom. You didn't teach how to inherit or how to give your son the things you have. So when I talk about the end in mind, Dave, those are just some of the pieces that then help us get the vision clear. So then we can say, hey, Mr. Architect, this is the footing I need to be able to build this empire. This is the type of footing. This is how big. This is what it needs to be made out of, because here's where I'm going.
So there's a lot of notes I've made, and we're not going to get to any of it really, but that's fine. That's great. I mean, that's what I love about these broadcasts is I'm going to say 80% of the time I never get to any of my notes. But here's something I just wrote down. We talked about vision and we talked about goals, right? And then there's this thing, the big M word, not motivation, not momentum, but manifestation. Okay. Is with the right vision, is there a thing having to do with the money puzzle where manifestation fits?
It's a great question. Off the top of my head, no. But what I found when you say that, I know how that fits into life and what it is. And what normally happens is when I know there's a right answer, I do it. I just do it in a different way. But you like baking a cake, you got to have flour, you got to have eggs, you got to have these things, but they could look a little bit different. Let's see if I got it here. I do.
So as you're looking for that, I want to add something I think that's really important that I read. Was that, there's goals and there's vision and there's where you're at and where you want to be. And you say something in your book about identifying the gap, yes. Right? Which I think is really important, which if you identify the gap, might have something to do with that question of manifestation, but identifying the gap, I think is where you need where the work is. Is that correct?
The gap is to be able to identify, where I am going and where I am at, and then to be able to break down. Let's say, Dave, where are you from?
New Jersey.
So, and I'm in northern Indiana. So really, I just need to head east. So if my goal is to get to Dave today, and I'm in Indiana and Dave's in New Jersey, the gap is about 600 miles, let's say. And then I'm going to have to, then I can strategically lay out, well, I can drive 60 miles an hour. I'm going to need to stop. I'm going to need to eat and fill up. And what happens is when you can identify the gap, the actual work that you have to do becomes real and you can see it. It becomes almost tangible. And I can say, well, I know I can go 380 miles on a tank. I'm going to have to stop somewhere around Pittsburgh. And then I can make the last trek to Dave. And because I can see the work and see the gap, it becomes real. And I can actually, because once it's in your head and it's not real, it's too big. The wall's too big, Dave.
Yeah, love it.
So I don't know if that helps answer the question, but
it does, because as you're driving, you can see where you're going to. Like I like, just a listing appointment I went to yesterday. I said I knew how long it was going to take me to get there. I knew how long, and like, it's rather than bitching and moaning about traffic, as you knew that was going to happen. So just as you get closer, you see you're narrowing the gap to getting to that appointment.
Yeah.
I want to talk really quickly before we finish, because we're coming up on time, is we talked about goals and vision, right? Where's the start of your financial security and the money puzzle? Is the start writing goals down, but really realizing what it is rather than just thinking about them?
Yeah, really, I start everybody with really three things. Well, I guess it could be four. One is to understand who I am, because if you're going to listen to me, I want you to know why you're listening to me. Can you listen to me? And should you? I've had way too many of the wrong guides in my life because I didn't know about them. I thought they were good in one thing, but not in all the others.
Right.
So one is get to know me. Two is write down your vision, write down your goals, write down where you want to be. Three is go back to awareness. And the fourth, this is the big four things I work on with everybody. The fourth is start to list over the last 90 days, everything you spent money on personally. So if I was starting with anybody, those four things is the foundation. And until, I just had a client do it yesterday. Write down 90 days of what you spent. He's like, Austin, it looked horrible. He wasn't even aware of how much money he was spending. And just to get an idea, what is your awareness of what's going out? That's where we start.
So as people start reading this book, everything that Austin just said is exactly where you're starting the book. And I want to tell you something. As I read it, scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like, wow, I got to write this down. And I know I've been stupid with some things, right? Still to this day. But I wanted to make one point for me, and then we'll wrap it up, is writing down the goals, writing down the vision, writing down everything you've done makes it more real than just thinking about it or reading it, right? And I want everybody to remember this one thing I'm going to say, which I learned from a very good friend of mine by the name of Grant Wise. And I say this a lot to a lot of people. Why is it so important to write it down? Because writing is the doing part of thinking. It's so important for you to write the stuff down because it actually puts things out. When I tell people about working with scripts and dialogues, I say, get all the scripts out. It's okay to put them all over your table or to write them down in notes on them. I've seen someone have them all over his walls as he's standing up on his phone with his headset. Writing things down and organizing your stuff. If you've got a bag like I do right here filled with stuff, every now and then you need to take all that stuff out and put it all over the table and write down what's good and what's not and throw the shit away you're never going to look at. You just left it in there because, well, someday I'm going to look at it. My point is really simple. Awareness. Writing helps you aware. That's what I got. Man, we can keep going. I just hit about 10% of the notes that I had on the book, on you and everything else. This has been such a pleasure. They all are, but you and I didn't know each other before this week. And I want to thank you so much for your time today. And what would you like to end with? Is there any message you'd like to give out real quickly?
I want to give one disclosure, and I'll make this very fast. You said it was scary, Dave. And it is. And one of the biggest, scariest parts about it is if you're married, you have a second half who's your opposite that you're going to have to deal with if you do this. And this might be for 20% of an audience or 80 are hearing me. I got to deal with my wife on this journey. I might be all in, but now I got to deal with her. And money is the number one cause for divorce. Here's what I want to tell our listeners is once you know that, you get to make a choice. You're either going to deal with it or you're not. And whatever your vision is, you should be held accountable to that. And if I got to have a hard conversation with my wife, then remember what Les Brown says. If you do what is easy and don't address it, if you do it as easy, life will be hard. And if you do it as hard, have to talk with my wife about money, life will become easy. So I challenge all of you to do what's hard, because doing what's hard will make your life easy one day.
That's a great point that nobody ever hits, and that's in the book as well. Austin, I want to thank you so much. I have two things left. One is a question. How can I help you grow your business?
I'm an introvert and I don't spread the word about what I do. So if you can help spread the word on the work I do and who I am, that would 100% help me. Everyone that finds me is like, where have you been hiding? I'm like, in a cave by myself. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And also, as every week goes by, we got the hat coming out, man. Blue version of the R Skill Builder hat. I'm looking forward to sending this out to you. I'm also looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks at an event we're both going to. It's the EXP convention, just so you know. I mean, I make no bones about where I am and what I do. It's going to be a lot of fun, and this was a lot of fun. And I want to thank you so much. We're gonna put this out and make sure people see this and go forward. Just as we finish off, next week we've got Vanda Martin coming on, who is a great coach. It's a little bit different twist on things, and all she wants to do is help her people. It's so much in her passion. I'm looking forward to having Vanda on. It'll be her second time on the broadcast. Austin, your stuff is on your contact info is on the screen. Please take that down, everybody. Connect with Austin. If you're with the EXP company, we're going to be in Miami in a couple of weeks. Make sure you find him because he is an awesome individual. Just stay on for a second as we go out. I think that's all I got.